So probably one of the coolest reveals that I've seen for Total War Warhammer 2 landed today. The High Elves. I work a desk job, and I can tell you I'm from 0 to midnight in like 2 seconds flat, and I had to excuse myself from the premises. But today I'm just going to go through that video we saw here today. I'm going to talk about some of the lore elements that we saw, some of the kind of competitive breakdown that I can see from a multiplayer meta standpoint. I'm obviously not the best player when it comes to that multiplayer meta, but I can definitely tell you guys at least how I see some of these units panning out, or how I see them comparing to what's currently in Total War Warhammer. So without further ado, let's really just kind of jump into this video. We'll pause on some of the unit cards and kind of see how things go. And I like how it's also kind of done in a in the same kind of way that we would do a battle cast. It's done in a very similar format, which is really cool. But from the start here, we see just a lovely shot of Lustria. Totems everywhere, magical energy crackling through the air.
So some visuals and stats are placeholder and are subject to tweaking.
And we start off right away with Frostart Phoenix. We've got the White Lines of Trace. So if we take a look here, it is armored, armor piercing, and attuned to magic. And they had talked about this a little bit during the High Elf roster reveal. But it is nice to see that it will be both armored and armor piercing. In the lore, the unit is talked about as being kind of like, you know, tempered and a little bit more stockier than its inflamed counterpart. The Frostart Phoenix is an older version of the Flame Fire Phoenix. Because of that, you do have a much tankier unit, and it's interesting. I'm wondering if this ability. I'm actually going to turn up the volume when he talks about this guy real quick. Let's go through it real quick.
A highly armored flying unit that causes a chilling effect to those around it.
And as that actually decides to buffer for some reason right now, it gives me a chance to talk about this. The chilling effect is also in tabletop. So I'm glad that they did talk about this in the High Elf roster reveal. That's what I assume this effect is right there, that one or the other. But this will allow the unit to obviously have an effect, have an aura effect and penalty on those around it.
Slowing them down and making them weaker.
Slowing them down and making them weaker.
Beneath we have the Sword Masters of Hoeth.
So again, the Sword Masters of Hoeth here. And all of these unit cards are on the Reddit right now. If you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at them, please jump onto the Reddit. Someone has taken the time to cut them all out from the video and put them up there, but at least I can go through this stuff with you. One cool thing to note just right off the bat, they added deflect shots. They were saying in the High Elf roster reveal, if you want to see deflect shots, let us know, comment heavy, and we'll add it in. Boom, there it is. So, and we had also talked about this unit in our lore video. How are they going to be in Total War Warhammer 2? Well, we can see they are anti-infantry, they are armored piercing, and it's interesting to see that they are armored. They have heavy armor in the tabletop, so it looks to see that they made that transition here. And that deflect obviously infers a bronze shield on them, and then we were talking about that in the lore video as well. Will they have a kind of shield mechanic on them that allow them to deflect missiles? So it's really cool to see that they've done that. And it's pretty interesting too that they have a pretty high unit count at 100, so that's pretty remarkable as well. And a good weapon strength of 36.
As their name suggests, they are extremely skilled infantry that can actually deflect incoming missile fire by slashing it out of the air. A unit some may recognize from the Fallen Gates battle is the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Interestingly, this is the only piece of...
All right, and we're jumping over here to the, as he says, the only piece of artillery that the High Elves will have in their Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. It doesn't have a ton of missile damage, but I expect this to have a pretty quick refire rate. It's just kind of the nature of how the bolt throwers work. Also, it is armor piercing or multi-shot, so you can switch. It's a toggleable switch. I'm really interested to see this thing kind of going into full bore here. I like how they added wheels. There's no wheels on the tabletop model. It's just a solid little platform it sits on. But I like the kind of modification there. And the video does get a bit spotty. That is unfortunately not me. I've noticed that this video itself does have some FPS drop and a little bit of audio artifacts here and there. So please be patient with that.
Of artillery available to the High Elves, but it's very flexible, carrying multiple types of ammunition suitable for both infantry and large units. Moving on now to the Spearmen. These are a High Elf player's first line of defense.
And I love the way the Spearman units look. Just straight carbon copy right out of the tabletop, as is almost everything with this game so far, you know. Total War Warhammer is the same way. But we're going to see an anti-large, charge defense against large foes, and shielded. So they obviously get their silver buff here. Now, someone had asked me just yesterday, you know, what's going to be the difference between High Elves and Wood Elves? Well, the Wood Elf Eternal Guard, as we already know, are anti-large. They're armored piercing. They are shielded. So they have the capability to do quite a bit more than just your standard High Elf Spearmen. They are a little bit more, and it's not true lore-wise. They're not like considered more elite or anything like that, but they definitely look a lot cooler because they're newer models, but still. But we can see just right off the bat from these units how the Spearmen are going to differ from the Eternal Guard and the Wood Elves. And there's a lot more shooting options in the Wood Elves. And obviously you see with the High Elves, they don't have as many shooting options. They do have quite a few, but their benefit definitely is in their infantry and
cheap,
special
surprisingly quick to move around,
options.
and great against large foes. Now we have heard some of the community's concerns regarding shield patterns and colours, so I wanted to show a snippet of some of the other High Elf factions in the game. Of course, these are also...
And it's important to note these are all different heraldries of different factions of High Elves. So it's clear we will be seeing other factions of High Elves in the game, as I mentioned. We've already kind of seen the differing nations and how they have their different heraldry as well. So it's definitely very cool that they're doing that. And I will actually be turning him down once we get through this point, but I wanted him to talk a lot about some of the stuff as well.
Subject to tweaking, so please keep the feedback coming. Now at the head of our army we have one of the most skilled warriors in all of Ulthuan, the legendary Lord Tyrion.
I'm upset that they did not show us his unit card, but he is like spot on exactly how the model looks. He's still one of my favorite models in all of Warhammer, and he just looks amazing. I love the Sunfang is on fire. He's on Malhandir as well with his armor of Venarian. He just looks so fucking cool.
And his prized mount, Malhandir. Now at his back we have the Lothern Sea Guard, a very...
Now, Lothern Sea Guard are my personal choice for tabletop as well. I don't use Spearmen, I use Lothern Sea Guard. And we're going to be seeing a unit kind of similar to the BC with Free Company Militia, a company that can be ranged but also a very serious threat in the actual hand-to-hand portion. Now, one thing I want to compare real quick here is the weapon strength, melee attack, and melee defense, so these three figures, of the Lothern Sea Guard and the Spearmen. So 24, 48, and 27. A little bit further back, a little bit further back. So we've got, I'm sorry. So we've got a lower melee attack, a slightly higher defense, and the weapon strength I believe is slightly lower as well. Let me double check. Yeah. So, oh, is that? Yeah. So it's actually one more point with melee defense. And sorry about that. Jumping around all over the place here. So we have a pretty comparable unit that gets a dual role. So I'm curious to see what their actual cost is as far as the in-game currency goes for the multiplayer as well as the campaign. But they are some of my favorite units. They can drop their bows, pick up their spears, and have a charge defense against large foes. So I'm really interested to see that. I believe actually they have a little bit. So the Spearmen actually have, I think, 120 in their unit, and the Lothern Sea Guard have 90.
Spears to defend against cavalry, and bows to attack at range.
Some more Swordmasters.
Here we have the much younger Flamespire Phoenix, whose embers still shine bright. The Flames.
So yeah, just like he said, the much younger Flamespire Phoenix. Armor piercing as well. It does have the rebirth mechanic that we've kind of been teased a little bit about in the High Elf roster reveal, and it is attuned to magic as well. And attuned to magic means that it's not viability, but at least its potency is increased with your Winds of Magic reserves. So if you're playing a predominantly warrior type lord and you don't want to focus as much on magic, your Phoenixes will actually be stronger as a result. And their Death from Above ability allows them to basically shit fireballs onto the enemy. In the tabletop, they can just fly over a unit and it does damage to anything they fly over.
Flamespire is more vulnerable to missile fire, but can heal itself when it's damaged and drop fire on enemies below it. So
great interpretation of the Phoenix Guard here. In tabletop lore, they're described as having this otherworldly aura about them that allow like a blue glow like this that allows them to have a ward save. I don't see it on the pro. Oh, there it is. One of these is the ward save. I'm not sure which one. Maybe it's that one. I don't know. There's a ward save. This confers a ward save somewhere in there. But we have an armor piercing, anti-large, charge defense against all, not just large, in this unit. And if you haven't noticed here, you have a lot of anti-large across the entirety of the High Elf army. So that's pretty awesome to see.
Protecting the bird is the Phoenix Guard, a super powerful halberd infantry unit that is absolutely devastating to any large foe they encounter.
They're supposed to be quite stocky and very,
lastly,
very...
onto my favorite high elf unit, the Dragon Princes.
Oh, mine
These
too,
are the highest
dude.
tier of cavalry available. The entitled princes wear dragon armor, protecting them against any fire attacks, and just making them look badass, obviously.
Let's jump back a little bit to get that unit card in there. Oh, these are my all-time favorite model on the tabletop. I've used them in so many different iterations. My Blood Knights, I just used these models and basically scratched their faces out. I made them look like vampires. So they're one of my favorite fucking models, and you can see how ornate and glorious they look here. I'm kind of a little let down by their stat profile until we really find out what some of these symbols mean. I was expecting them to maybe have an armor piercing or an anti-large mechanic. I'm kind of disappointed to see neither because they're kind of heralded as being some of the best fighters and, you know, able to slay these great beasts and great monsters and great foes. So it's kind of, I still think they're definitely strong. Dragon armor is going to be, it's going to confer a ward save and a bonus against fire, which is probably that little symbol right there. I wanted them to have an AP mechanic or something.
Dragon
that
armor,
makes
protecting them against
scarier.
any fire attacks, and just making them look badass, obviously.
Oh yeah, it does. Hell yeah, it does, brother. Amen to that.
Alright, so I think we're just about ready to start the battle. If we turn back on the UI, you can see all of the lovely units at my disposal. We have
Quick, just look in here real quick. I love these unit cards. They're so cool. They're so cool. And a lot of detail put into them. We didn't really go into the White Lions of Trace, which is kind of surprising. But we can see that he's got a wizard here, two wizards here. He's got his lord. He's got a solid line of spearmen. White Lions of Trace, the two sword masters of Hoeth, the Phoenix Guard, two Lothern Sea Guard. You've got Tyrion himself. You've got the Dragon Princes right here. Illyrian Reavers, two Eagle Claw Bow Throwers, a Frostheart, and Flamespire Phoenix.
We have a fairly diverse army, also carrying a High Elf Mage and a Lore Master of Hoeth, who have some powerful magic at their disposal. Now before we start, I'm just going to turn on guard mode for some of my spearmen here, and make sure skirmish mode is off for my missiles.
Let's actually turn that down. Okay. So just kind of this typical kind of format we would do.
Two cavalry units on my right flank. We've got the Illyrian Reaver Archers, who are obviously missile cavalry.
Oh, I thought this was... Oh, of course this is Tyrion. God, I took a speed before I did this clearly. So yeah, this is your Silver Helms. That is Tyrion. Stupid. Do it. Start the battle.
There are a few corrections I want to make. My artillery could do with having some protection from the front, so we'll shift our spearmen in front of them and fill the gap.
And I don't know if you can do that in the current game. I've never seen that, like ability to move things, so I don't know if that's new or not, but that was pretty rad.
Today it's Lord Mazda.
And so we have right here, we've got a Carnosaur, we've got plenty of Saurus in the front here. It looks like some skinks as well. And then here are the Croxigar. We finally get to see the Croxigar in full action. More of an alligator look and less of the actual dinosaur look from Lizardmen army book. And then Mazda Mundi here on Talak.
His famed Mount Slack and his horde of Lizardmen who want to take back the mosquito swamps for himself.
Oh, those were definitely Saurus. I pointed out the wrong thing. Cold One Riders. And... Ooh, look at these little skinks.
No doubt they'll make this a very tough fight. Now, because he's moving pretty slow and has a thick bulk of infantry at his head, I'm going to switch to the multi-shot round for my artillery.
So we get to see both these rounds here. The bonus versus infantry and bonus versus large on both of them.
He's got a little while to go yet before he's in range. Looks like he's pushing up some of his cavalry ahead of the main army, though.
Quite the range, too, you can see as well, right?
It's a unit of horned ones, an extremely rare and powerful cavalry unit.
Yeah, so he did say horned ones. Actually, gonna go back. Did you say cold one?
Rare and powerful cavalry unit.
A little bit further back, right?
Perhaps scouting the woods out or looking to hide there himself. It's a unit of horned ones, an extremely rare and powerful cavalry unit.
Yeah, so there is cold ones, and then there's horned cold ones, which are supposed to be much rarer.
Our dragon princes to mirror what
yeah, so that whole like just moving that like what the hell is that? I don't what that's a crazy move. I don't remember that.
They walk with such arrogance. I love it.
I wish that these guys kind of had like a Ponzi kind of parade trot. I don't know why, but I think that'd be kind of funny because they're supposed to be very arrogant, very haughty. That's just kind of the role that that those guys typically play.
Nice. Here we go. Now the anti-infantry shot isn't going to do much.
They're already kind of unleashing some hell on the horde ones over here.
Our cavalry is pushing up to meet the threat, though the Silver Helms would have a tough time against the Horned ones.
Which is interesting because they say this, the Silver Helms are supposed to be very strong cav selection, so the fact that they're going to have difficulty with the Horned ones leads me to believe the Horned ones are going to be very strong in another own right.
So you can get both a zoomed out tactical look at the battle and a close-up cinematic look at the units. And I'll try to be quiet so you can soak in the atmosphere during these moments too.
And I'll do the same.
So as Mazdamundi is an insanely powerful magic user,
it's definitely seen a lot of grids. So here's a cool thing. We finally get to see an actual card of Apotheosis for the High Elves, which is going to be a healing spell. But it's interesting that it can cause fear, which is also in line with the way it's supposed to be.
A pretty clever move. As long as the individuals don't die, he can just keep healing them. We've got some Pterodons moving on my right, so I'll move out the good old Frosty to push them back.
They did add some mechanics that we have talked about in some of the lore videos, as well as the magic videos. So I'm very excited to talk about those coming up real soon here about the flying units, because you can see now there's way more flying units in Total War Warhammer 2, and they're not just kind of junk throwaway units like, say, Fell Bats or Harpies, which are really more focused at like one task in general. Like, these units actually have very specific uses, or they can I'm sorry, not just specific uses. They have a little bit more to them, kind of almost like the Hawk Riders do. Like you can see, they kind of try to test the grounds with that with the Hawk Riders.
Feral Carnosaur that's coming to range.
Yeah, that Feral Carnosaur, that, as they talked about, there's going to be multiple versions of every dinosaur. Feral being the lowest tier and easiest to acquire.
And it looks like he's being fired on. And yep, the Horned ones have engaged my helms on the right. Let's push spears on them. It was the cheeky chameleon skinks lurking in the woods.
Yeah, we see the chameleon skinks firing their poisoned darts, as we found out. And they were stalked all the way up until firing on that Flamespire Phoenix. Or, I'm sorry, that Frostfire Phoenix.
Now that big blue shield over...
We do now see Shield of the Old Ones. The Old Ones actually... the Slan actually have a tabletop mechanic similar to this. Where they can actually roll and get specific abilities, and Shield of the Old Ones is one of them. And the cool thing about this is it infers a ward save, so 44% magic resistance and 8 leadership on ground. So it allows you to affect allies in a range of 150 meters. So it is isn't just a targeted single ally buff.
Them from spells. I think it's the Shield of the Old Ones.
And you can see it as they come in and out of the area too. So just like the Nets of Amantok, you can walk into it, then get netted after the fact. Ooh, look at that. Fucking Carnosaur going wild.
Let's get Tyrion to help.
Oh, and crap, you can see
Ruination of Cities hit both of our lines.
So yeah, let's jump back just a tiny bit here. So Ruination of Cities here, we see it's a line ability. It targets the ground and shoots, and it's based off a wind, which is cool, but it causes magical damage. Small moving area of effect, 3 damaging rifts spreading outwards. Strong versus multiple units, weak versus a single combatant, obviously. But one thing I just want to show you guys, you can kind of see the regimented, like, singular volleys that the High Elves let out, and that's supposed to be kind of like indicative of their overly disciplined training type style of combat. You see that with a lot of other units. You know, the Wood Elves are still pretty synchronous in their volleys, but some units just kind of shoot all willy-nilly.
He's using banishments on me, so we're gonna have to move our Phoenix.
Oh, my cursor just disappeared. There we go. Let me jump back on that. So, aside from the High Elf archery being very cool and regimented, there's another little aside thing. So Fiery Convocation in tabletop is not a line ability like this. It's really cool that they did it, and I'd actually made that speculation in the lore magic video. Are we going to see it like a line mechanic? So it's pretty cool they did that. In the tabletop, you just simply target a unit, and that unit suffers damage over multiple turns. I like this a lot more because you get that large area effect, strong versus multiple units, and does magic damage. Look at that, just sweeping through.
Oh,
so sick looking.
The Croxigores, but it did some good damage even so.
Look at these guys just dive bombing all over the place, dropping their little rocks from the Pterodons as well.
Let's turn up the heat. There's a big group here, so we're going to throw down the Tempest Vortex to disrupt them.
So we had talked about this as well. You know, the Tempest does, the tabletop mechanic, it does hinder flying. So it's good to see that there's going to be adding mechanics that are going to be good against flying, because a lot of the spells that we see in Dark Magic and High Magic and Ruin and in Plague are going to be could infer negative or not negative benefits, but also known as penalties against flying. So it's good to see that just from Tempest that we're going to see some of those types of spells. Boom!
Oh yeah, this is actually
Tornado of high elf pain, bitch.
Damage on the ground too. Looks like he's healing more units. Let's push the cavalry out to the chameleons. Looks like we've got a little bit of a gap we can exploit here.
Do it. Exploit the gap. Shoot the gap, Anakin.
The pterodons are crushing my artillery. Let's get our missiles to take down that car.
Wow, yeah, they're really doing some serious damage. So it looks like the pterodons are going to be kind of like the Hawk Riders can, or currently are, in that they can do a lot of melee damage still while being quite the ranged threat, the short-ranged threat. Got some high elf spearmen already beginning to rout. But those phoenixes, if I take a look here, the phoenixes have been in battle for quite a bit. The Frostheart not as much, but it did take quite a bit of range damage. And we're just taking a look across the line here. It's still in very, very good health. The Silver Helms crumbled pretty quickly against the horned ones. The Dragon Princes are sitting at quite a bit of damage too over here, but it looks like they're squared off against 3 units.
It's not going to be a good day for that
just
guy. Just
pick him up. What the fuck is this game? This is fucking awesome. Silver Helm's coming back online. The Spearmen.
Right. It's tag team Phoenix time, Father.
Oh, okay. So your warriors are rallying. I don't remember if that's something in Total War Warhammer 1. If you guys know that currently exists, shout it out. But I think that's new for Total War Warhammer 2. Dropping that chilling effect all over the place. Yeah, look at all that. Look at all that kicking in. Tyrion in the center there, slaying left and right with Sunfang. I loved watching these Lizardmen just kind of jump and leap.
That Wake of Fire ability is so powerful.
And then the Phoenix drops its rare fire shits everywhere, causing mass amounts of fire diarrhea.
The Dragon Princes are taking quite a bit of damage.
But it's really cool to see how much damage that thing does. Like that launch things in the air almost like the Hell Cannon does. And you get 10 drops of the Wake of Fire, so that's pretty damn potent. Bam, look at that thing, just launching things all over the place.
Right, we've finally gotten rid of the Carno. Let's focus on Mazda Monday now and buff our
Carnosaur got
magic.
Focused down real hard by the Lothern Sea Guard, who are still at full health. Keep in mind that, like,
you can pause it to issue orders, but
they are ranged units, but you saw that they are really not that much different than Spearmen in their combat functionality, or their close combat functionality.
Reload and melee attacks, so these guys will be ready for anything.
All right, so let's actually jump back there. We just barely saw that.
We can use Hand of Glory. It's pretty much made for the Lothern Sea Guard.
Oh, that's Tempest.
As it buffs
aha, aha, got you, motherfucker. So we can see here it gives them a reload skill bonus as well as a melee attack bonus, which is really cool because Hand of Glory increases weapon skill and ballistic skill.
And melee attacks, so these guys will be ready for anything.
Tabletop. I want him to hover over that head, that glowing crown. Oh,
let's buff our winds
magic to miasma. Nothing new there. And if you notice too, sorry to keep doing this to you guys here, there's new icons. So this means that it's a heal, which is really cool. A little more, you can see also how ornate the Lothern Sea Guard are. Love these units. And
ugh, that's so annoying. Mazda Monday is called Banishment again, which means I'll have to move my archers, effectively disrupting.
Banishment's one of my favorite abilities. It just looks really cool. In tabletop, it was never awesome unless you're up against a very specific matchup. But in Total War Warhammer 1, I've noticed it does quite a bit of damage. They've got quite a good buff, and it's just really cool looking.
I think we've got him now, though.
Better than Shadow Vagina. All right, look at those phoenixes just going to town over there, just flapping their flippity flappers.
Yeah,
God,
just mopping up the remaining few now, dealing
battle.
with the stragglers. Psh, look at him run away, the absolute coward.
Oh! The giant alligator king.
So at
Looks
this
like we're
stage,
starting to get a bit of an army rout.
Any stragglers, make sure that we keep them routing and don't let them come back.
Looking to do another Phoenix shit? Oh, okay.
Alright, I think that's it. We've just about won.
All right, so if we take a look here, because I don't believe he does a post-battle. I think I've already seen that he doesn't. But taking a look, like, nothing really died outright. Like, there was not a single unit that got wiped out completely. I mean, the closest thing were the Silver Helms. And it's very... I really wish they had showcased the Phoenix Guard fighting a little bit better. And especially the White Lions of Trace. I wanted to see how much damage they outputted. But we really got a good sense for how this unit, or how this army functions. You've seen it's very much the dwarves of Total War Warhammer 2, right? They let the opponent come to them. Unless you want to play a very offensive High Elf army, which you definitely can. You've got the tools to do so. You're going to be more of a control-based army where you're defensive, letting them come to you and using your spells to control the flow of combat. And that's very much the way it is in tabletop as well. So I'm really glad to see that they've already done it with Lizardmen. They've already kind of kept that theme, that overall spirit of what makes Lizardmen in tabletop so amazing. And they transported it right over for Total War Warhammer 2. And we see the same exact things with High Elves. So I'm so excited to see what they would do with Dark Elves. And I'm really excited to see, like, what if there was, like, just humor me here, a mythical race of large rodents of unusual size that were sentient and could use like steampunk technology and like warp technology and like plague stuff. Like, that would be pretty cool. That'd be a cool fourth race. So if they had a fourth race like that, I'd love to see how that plays into the tabletop version of it, because that exists kind of in tabletop, like as hearsay. But the Dark Elves and the Skaven, I'm really excited to see how they do this as well, because they've done such a good job with interpreting and breaking down what would look like very hard to interpret tabletop abilities or rules into a PC game quite flawlessly. So I'm very excited to see what's on the horizon here, guys. Got a lot of more videos planned this week, some more lore action coming your way. Don't forget to comment below if there's other things that you noticed or that I missed. Always want to get as much information out to people that are watching this video so they can see all the goodies that are coming in the most recent game and September 28th. So thanks for watching here, guys. Have a good one and take care.